States. I had the pleasure of living in India for 3.5 months. One of those months I spent 33 days in an ashram at Nardam. Anyone ever heard of the Shivananda ashram in Nardam? Does anybody in this room do yoga? I think we're about to understand what sustainable economics is, because you understand meditation, you understand yoga, you understand 5,000 years of Ayurvedic spiritual guidance by the Upanishad. You are a spiritually moved culture. The equivalent in China has been dead for 4 generations. Do you understand what I'm saying? They have a tradition. You have Buddhism as your tradition. You have Hinduism as your tradition. You have yoga and centering. We live in a world of chaotic crisis, chaotic stress. There are ways out of it. There are ways to deal with it better, and I think I've just mentioned 3. The ability to use your mind and your body. Nourish your mind and your spirit with yoga. Nourish your body with yoga and meditation. And that will be the foundation of the next generation. How many in this room, this is an odd question, I bet no one can answer this, how many have cell phones in this room? We're looking at a technology that has revolutionized the entire world, hasn't it? All of you, who here, I bet there's not one person who's going to raise their hand, who here would give up their cell phone? No? It's a means of connecting with the entire world. As a child, when I was a child, if I were to say, I wish that I had a genie that could answer any question that I had, any question at all. It's in your hand. You can connect to the internet and Google it. They can't do that in China, but India allows you to do that, doesn't it? You are an empowered generation. Your generation never knew a time when the internet didn't exist. First time I connected to the internet was 1983. That was before any of you were born. Now these technologies, India, as Dr. Howard mentioned, India is leading the world and breeding new ideas, new solutions to the problems of poverty. One of them is, as an example, is using solar power, solar energy, to power pure water, which is a problem everywhere in the world, using pure water filtration processes driven off the grid in the rural areas of India, and it's being translated also into Africa and parts of Central and South America where it's needed. The new technology is solar power. We have, you know what where are the economists? What's the definition of economics? Someone shout it out. You know what the definition of economics is? Yes, sir, you.
Economics is all about increasing the production for producers and increasing satisfaction for consumers and social welfare for the society.
That's one. I like the definition that is, it's the use of scarce resources among competing demands. What's a scarce resource? Human labor, air, water, raw materials, land. Is that true? And increasingly we need to use these resources more efficiently. So people are now doing banking by the internet. I just hosted from Boston for Cambridge Graduate University. I hosted a global classroom, as all of us have done, sitting in my home in Boston, my family's home in Boston, and from that home we had people connected up from Africa, we had people connected up from India, we had people connected up from Korea, we had people connected up from all over America and Europe. Now that is efficient use of technology. We didn't have to travel the world to get here. Do you understand what I'm saying? When I was living in the ashram, we had no toilet paper. We had no chairs. We had beds. But the use of resources has become increasingly important across the globe. In my world, I'm a person that hangs out my clothes after we use a washing machine to wash the clothes. I ride my bicycle many places where I go to meetings. I walk places, whereas most of my colleagues and friends and family use cars, as well they should. But I think these innovative solutions, what we're going to be doing is going back to the future. And in some measure, I'm going to share some ideas about Gandhi economics, which I'm sure many of you probably know. But I think that is the wave of the future, using organic agriculture. My wife and I have buried, we live in a traditional home in a traditional city of Tallahassee. We buried our grass. We have no grass. We destroyed it. Out of the grass, we have now created an edible jungle. That's what Holly meant when she said that I'm a little bit more radical than most. We do not have solid waste collection. We don't collect trash. We don't have recycling at my house. We have electricity. We're going to very soon get off the grid and have solar photovoltaics. We walk. We don't hardly go to the grocery store. We live in Florida, so we have year-round gardens. Americans and the rest of the world waste resources, as you all know, and you all do as well. But why not use these resources more benignly, in more effective and efficient ways? So, what am I talking about? I think this graph has been up here thanks to Dale the last hour, so I'm going to bypass it. Stable, long-term, open democratic institutions in India, and as I mentioned, the spiritual base of India, serve as the foundation for why India and you young people will lead the world in evolving into this new economy, this new world of more efficient use. These are the things that lead to strong growth. Dropping the reduction in population growth through reduction in fertilization, low fertility rates. Female education, especially critical, emphasize the education of the young ladies in your culture. And wasteful government spending, just getting rid of corruption. These are the things that, again, a moral culture will prioritize. And you will, and Tim has talked about leadership and moral leadership, and that's got to be the touchstone, caring for each other as well as caring for ourselves. Isn't that the key? Is that the key? Because if we're just out for ourselves, making a profit for ourselves, we wind up being selfish and being secretive. If we share with everyone else what we have in terms of our knowledge and our goodwill, we wind up helping the world and using resources more efficiently. You all will be part of this expansion of the middle class from 5 to 40%. And one of the most important things in helping to this professor Swaminathan, he is regarded as one of the most important people in India. He is leading the charge, among others, on sustainable organic farming. And what does that sustainable organic farming look like? It's a way of using no chemical fertilizer, reverting back to traditions of farming with animal waste and building up composting. It reduced the cost of production of chemical fertilizers from 3,000 rupees per hectare to 0. Increased the fertilization. The soil itself responds to these kinds of technologies. Enhancement of the biota itself, and the water. There's a reduction in water consumption as well. Farmers can now grow a greater variety of crops in their fields since the soil fertility is restored. Wheat yield increased 36% from 2 to 3.13 tons per hectare. Rice increased by 50% from 2.25 to 3.75 tons per hectare. With the crops in the field, the prospect of crop failure is reduced because you've got multiple crops available to you. Farmers have been able to save money. So here are poor people. Not only are they growing more food per hectare, they're also able to export and feed not just their family, but also have a means by which they can make some money by having produce that they share with other urban dwellers. Most of the poor in India live in the rural areas. To enhance their quality of life by reducing their dependence on Dow chemicals. You all know what genetically modified seed is. Does anybody here know what genetically modified seed is? Do you know that India is leading the world in fighting Monsanto Corporation in its in his bid to conquer the entire world. Do you all know what I'm talking about? Monsanto is an American corporation that is trying to colonialize the entire world's agricultural products. In India today, I'm sorry to say, there are Indian farmers committing suicide because they use this seed, and the seed does not reproduce. You can't save the seed from the crop that you're growing. This is a terrible tragedy. Dow Chemical is creating what I consider moral failure in their leadership in the world. So India, the government of India has essentially banned genetically modified seeds from being used extensively in India. The first Green Revolution fed the world. The second Green Revolution is trying to squeeze the profit out of every possible corner of the world, and it's wrong, fundamentally wrong. That's the moral value that India is bringing to this discussion. And I think if you understand what I'm suggesting, that this is a locally based solution. This is the result of the test farms where they used organic farming. And rather than have Indians and Chinese and Africans become slave labor to Western tastes and Western products, for instance, tea. The people that grow tea are essentially our wage earners in America, for Western Europe and America. They should be growing food that's nutritionally for their own body, building the quality of their own income as well as nourishing their own body. I suspect that is the way for the future and how best to address this issue. I spent the last 30 years as an environmental economist in Florida and a healthcare economist a decade thereafter, and have great concern for the use of resources, as I mentioned at the beginning. The use of scarce resources, air and water, in a most efficient fashion is the goal for the future. So with that, I'll close and await any questions you may have. Thank you for your attention.